Hello and welcome back to the Spinning Barn. Today I thought we would have a look at the ratios or the gears on your spinning wheels and just explain exactly what they are and why you'd want to use them and what effect it's going to have on using your fibre. When we talk about gears, what we're referring to are these little grooves on your flyers, and obviously that's going to look different depending on the type of wheel that you actually have and where it's actually situated, but it's your wheel that sits at the end of the flyer that your bobbin is attached to. So this is my Woolmakers Bliss spinning wheel, and we would refer to this as having a ratio of 6, 8, 12 or 18 to 1, depending on which of these gears you're actually using. Now let's just clarify what that means to start with. So at the moment, I have got my drive band on my largest gear here, on this large pulley, if you like. And every time I press my foot down once, down, 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 the drive wheel rotates 1, 1, 1. The flyer rotates X amount of times, depending on which of the gears you've chosen to use. So at the moment, my flyer is rotating 6 times for every treadle. If I move that down, let's go right down to the tiniest one I've got there, which is 18 to 1, but I keep my foot moving at the same speed, down, 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 down. Can you see just how much more quickly my flyer is rotating? Now, the point is that if I didn't have a flyer with that capability, then we would have to treadle 3 times faster if we only had the 6 ratio, wouldn't we? And that's just not comfortable or really possible to keep that going for any length of time. But what I'd like to show you is the effect that it actually has on the wool whilst we're spinning. If I just set this, whoops, I'll just set this back up again. Just thread up in a very lazy way, excuse me. You can probably hear some chainsawing going on in the background. That's my dear husband sawing wood for the fire for this evening. Right. So it's a lovely day here today, but it's probably going to be quite chilly tonight. Right. So what I have here is, this is a Romney fleece or Romney fibre, which we would call sort of a mid-range sort of wool, really. Nice and easy, nice and soft. Now, if I just treadle this forward, 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 down, down, down with my foot, you can see the coordination of my hand and my foot. And you can see that it's nice and comfortable. I think my tension feels comfortable as well. Tension looks comfortable, by which I mean that as the wool is being drafted forward, you can see it's travelling in a nice straight line there, isn't it? Which means I'm inserting the right amount of twist as well. Because if I were to loosen this, take that brake band right down, really loose, can you see how it's just kinking up and just not really travelling forward? So all that's going to happen here we go, look, is the yarn is going to sit here just accumulating more twist, and we're going to end up with a very overspun yarn, and it's really pingy and just not nice. It didn't even feel comfortable to spin with. Also, if I turn that brake right up and I've stretched the spring here, which I hate doing, doesn't feel good, instantly I've got to grab this wool because it just wants to take it straight out of my hand. That is not comfortable. That would also mean that I'd have insufficient twist because it just wouldn't have time to gather the twist that it needs, okay? So let me go back and find a nice comfortable spot there. Let's see. Still a bit tight. You actually need less than you think you do in most situations. Okay. That's better. And I can feel it every time I do it. I sort of relax into my chair. Okay. Right, now then, we're doing this on our 6:1 ratio. So that's foot down once, hand goes forward, wheel goes around once, flyer rotating 6 times. And let's just have a look at the effect that that has on our yarn. What sort of yarn are we actually going to create with that? So if I just stop the wheel, I'll do a little ply back from here. And there you can see that's quite a nice soft ply actually, quite like that. The gear that you use is going to depend on the type of fibre that you have and the project that you've got in mind as well. So if you need, let's say for example, you're doing socks, making a sock yarn, you're going to want a bit of extra twist probably just to give you a little bit more durability, because obviously twist gives you added strength, doesn't it? If we have insufficient twist, this would be too soft and it would all fall apart. That looked quite nice, didn't it? What I'd like to show you is how it looks with, and how it feels as well, although you can't feel, but I can, when we change the gears. So keeping my foot at the same speed, down, 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 down. That's the same as before, isn't it? Down, down, forward, forward. So we're now on an 8:1 gear, 8:1 ratio. And I can feel it pulling a little stronger out of my hand. So let's have a little look at that in comparison. And that's a little bit tighter. You can see that there. That looks a little bit tighter and it certainly feels slightly more harsh. But I wouldn't say that it's too much, actually. And this is part of the process that we'll go through when we start with a new fibre or we're starting on a project and you know what it is you're trying to create. You really want to change it down to another one, change it down to the 12. You know, spend a while playing around with the gears on your particular wheel and see what effect it has on the fibre that you've chosen to work with. And generally, the shorter fibres are going to need more twist because there are more ends, or the ends appear more quickly because they're shorter and need twisting together more often, whereas a long stapled wool would need less twist because those ends are so far apart for a start. And also, if we add too much twist to longer stapled yarns, longer stapled fibres, I should say, the yarn ends up feeling quite wiry and coarse and makes the hair sort of poke out. It's not very nice. But, you know, again, it depends on what it is you're planning to do with it. Now this, I can feel, it just feels sort of a bit heavier in my foot, although I'm treadling at the same speed. I can feel it all feels a bit heavier and it's definitely feeling quicker in my hand. It's taking it more quickly. It doesn't feel as comfortable as it had previously with this particular fibre. Let's have a look at that. Golly, look at that. Oops. Crumbs. Yeah, that just doesn't really sit very comfortably for my liking. It's that's gone quite tight now. And you can really feel the bumps. So you've got to decide, what do you need for your particular yarn that you want to make? What does this fibre need of you? How do you get the best from this fibre? That feels quite harsh, I think, for this particular wool. And it would be a shame to spoil it. Oops, now I can't even undo it. Look, it's that tight. Hang on. Whoops. So what do you think the 18:1 is going to look like? It's going to be considerably tighter. So let's have one final look at this. Down, 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 down. Wow, and it is flying round, isn't it? Goodness. That feels like I've got to really concentrate to keep up with that because this wool does not like this. I would use a gear this high for a much shorter stapled fibre that needs lots of extra twist, a very fine yarn that would need a lot of twist to make it durable, to withstand the knitting or the crochet or the weaving or whatever you plan to do with it. But this just feels wrong. It's amazing. It's something that you need to practice, I think, really, and just get out a whole range of fibres and play around with those and see the difference, see what effect it has on different fibres. You don't know if you can actually see, but it's started to kink up quite a lot as I'm applying it, as I'm drafting it now, even before it gets to the bobbin. So let's have a little look at that one. It's our final test. And we have, look, kink everywhere here. Gosh. I'm making funny noises, aren't I? Because it just doesn't feel right. It's just telling me, no, it's wrong, don't do that to me. We've even got little extra kinks in it. It's just not comfortable in itself. I don't like that at all. Do you know what? I mean, rather than trying to undo that, I'm going to just break it off. Gosh, could you hear how tight that was? So let me just rejoin, and I'm just going to just go back to where I think it felt the best. I'm going to go for 8. Let's have another go with 8. Okay, and instantly I've just felt myself just relax back into my chair again. I don't know if you noticed that as well. There we go. That's nice and comfortable. I like that. And I think when you know that you feel comfortable in yourself, that your hands are relaxed, you feel relaxed, the wool feels happy, you'll know when you've got the right gear and you're using the right ratio there for the wool that you're using, and bearing in mind the project that you might have in mind. Sometimes we don't have a project in mind, do we? In which case, just go with what suits that wool the best and what is going to give you a durable yarn. And don't forget also, we've got to think about how the wool is going to behave when we actually ply it and when we wash it and finish it and set the twist, because obviously it's going to relax a little bit as well during that wetting process. So again, as I always tell you, you never quite know what you have made until it is completely finished. So if you do have a big project in mind, I would suggest you go through this process and you make your skein, wash it, finish it, dry it, and dare I say it, knit a tension square as well, because it isn't until then that you really know what you've made and if it is suitable for that project. Okay, and don't forget also to make notes, record how you've made it, so when you get to the end and you go, yeah, fantastic, I've done it, you'll know how you've done it so that you can replicate it. Or if you think, oh, actually I should have gone with that other gear, I should have gone down to 6 to 1 maybe, or up to 12 to 1, then you will know what exactly it is you need to change, because believe me, we always forget what we've done, or at least I always do. So there we go. Let's have a final little look at that. It just felt so much more comfortable. I liked that. There we go. Yes, I would say I would spin this particular fibre on my 8 to 1 ratio. That looks comfortable. It still feels soft. I can just about feel the little crossovers here where it's plying back on itself, but it still feels soft and not like harsh little bobbles. Here we go. I hope that helped you. It's one of those subjects that's a little bit, it seems a little bit daunting at first, I think, but it's nothing to be scared of. Just have a little practice, have a play with it, just try all of those gears and see what works for you. If you have a wheel that doesn't have such a range of gears as mine does, then bear in mind that it is possible to change your flyer. So you could have a jumbo flyer or a high-speed kit to give you less twist or more twist if you need it. So doesn't matter if you haven't got, several wheels like you can see behind me I have. You can still just adapt to the one wheel that you have got to give you what you need. Alternatively, we have to adjust the speed at which we treadle in relation to the movement of our hands, but that's a whole other subject. Today we're just looking at the gears that we've got. All right, so I hope that helped you. Let me know how you get on. I always like to see results of all your tests as well as my own, so let me know and I'd appreciate any comments. Lovely, thanks very much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.